because another war is the last thing we need. The pandemic has already claimed thousands of lives. The world economy is already on edge. Prices are rising. Growth is sluggish. Nobody knows what will happen next. For central banks, the biggest priority is inflation, cooling down the prices. On Wednesday, India hiked interest rates to tame inflation. Hours later, the United States did the same. The Federal Reserve has hiked interest rates by 50 basis points, the biggest hike in 22 years. Clearly, America is tightening the purse strings. The question is, how far will it go? How far will the Fed go? Is a 75 basis point hike in the offing?
75 basis point in an increase is not something the committee is actively considering. What we are doing is we raised 50 basis points today, and we've said that, again, assuming that economic and financial conditions evolve in ways that are consistent with our expectations.
That's what markets wanted to hear, a moderate hike. Dow Jones closed 2.8% up on Wednesday. Standard & Poor's was up 3%. So the investors appreciate this move, but economists are wary because this is not normal inflation. This inflation is a side effect of pandemic spending. So governments must focus on two things. One is cooling down prices, and two, pushing economic recovery. The problem is the two goals are contradictory. To grow your economy, you need to spend more. But if you spend more, inflation will rise. Right now, central banks are taking a middle path, what economists call a soft landing. But sticking to that soft landing will not be easy. If things go wrong, we could slip into a recession. The Deutsche Bank is already warning about one, a recession. They're predicting a US recession in 2023, that's next year, and we all know how that ends. When the US enters recession, the world suffers, the whole world. But not every central bank is attempting a soft landing. Some don't seem to care. Like Turkey, their latest inflation numbers are out. It's a whopping 70%, 70, you heard that right, 70% inflation. Pretty soon you may need a bag of cash to buy an egg in Turkey. Well, Turkey too is reeling from the pandemic's aftermath, but that's not the only reason. The bigger problem is this man, their president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He practices economics in reverse. Now, normally you raise interest rates to curb inflation. Erdogan is asking for the opposite. He wants the central bank in Turkey to slash interest rates, or at the very least, to keep it unchanged. So far, the bank has obliged. They have no choice. For 4 consecutive months, they have kept interest rates unchanged. And during all this time, inflation has gone up. Well, who needs a pandemic when you have leaders like this? Now, coming back to recession, what are the chances of America falling off the edge? Technically, recession is 2 quarters of negative growth, so America is halfway there. But the chairman, the Fed chairman, is confident about his economy's fundamentals.
So it's a strong economy, and nothing about it suggests that it's close to or vulnerable to a recession. Now, of course, given events around the world and fading fiscal policy effects and higher rates, you could see some slower economic activity.
Slow economic activity, but no signs of recession. That's the Fed's assessment, and hopefully they're right. But what should you be doing if that's not the case? If a recession is really coming, what's your plan? Well, there's a tried and tested playbook. Number one, watch your expenses. I'm not talking about militant cuts. I'm talking about mild ones, like putting off that vacation or buying fewer luxuries. Number two, think hard about buying assets. And while you're thinking, consider this. EMIs are only going up from here. So if you buy now, you could avoid the higher payments. But there's a catch. Asset prices are inflated right now. The value of what you buy could collapse in the future. So like I said, think hard before buying assets. Number three, is it a good time to quit your job? Some would say it's never a good time to quit, but recessions are the worst. Holding on to that job should be a priority. But here too, there's a catch. We are in the middle of the Great Resignation. In 2021, around 47 million Americans quit their job, and finding new ones should not be hard. US job openings are at a record high. Europe's unemployment is at a record low. So you have a strange dynamic at play. More people are quitting and more jobs are opening. Well, that does not usually happen before recessions. Like I said, nobody knows how this will pan out, how all of this will pan out. What I just explained were guidelines. You may or may not follow them. What really matters is government action. Only central banks, along with our leaders, can get us out of this mess. Unless, of course, you live in Turkey, in which case it's a question of what comes first, election or recession. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.